Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, now stage is yours. Thank you so
Excellent.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be part of this group. And I would have loved to be there, but unfortunately it's but literally probably the opposite side of the world. So, take my apologies for me not being there. So I have a really interesting presentation to show you. We'll show you our perspective into AI and AI policy, because this is the talk, the number one discussion that's happening in education right now. And I'm happy to share our insights from it as a startup based in Silicon Valley. A little bit about me, and thank you for that intro. I have worked in big tech companies, but even before Google and Amazon, I worked in AI and machine learning in one of the biggest banks in North America for detecting and preventing fraud. So I worked in AI ML before it's this cool. Back then it was, it was kind of cool. Now it's really, really cool. So I kind of can brag about that a little bit. And every time I want to start this talk, I think it's good because, I've been working in AI. My background's computer engineering, and I've worked on this for way over a decade now. I want to share what is AI, because everybody keeps talking about it as this new thing. And I think history would really be helpful here. And so I try to start with that. In fact, AI it's actually 70 years in the making. I think the best, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Imitation Game, where Benedict Cumberbatch beats the Nazis by building this machine. So there's this professor called Alan Turing. He actually built the first machine to decipher Nazi code. So the decrypted messages from Germans can be decrypted using this machine that uses, machine learning to be able to predict what is actually the message coming through. And that's really the first form of machine learning. And that's 70 years ago, more than 70 years ago, in fact. In 1960s, 10 years later, the first chatbot came out. So, 60 years ago, there's a chatbot that spun out of MIT. And it was honestly really dumb. It was just a bunch of if-else statements. So it was if someone asked this question, answer it this way. And if you fell out of the very finite number of ifs, it really probably didn't know how to respond. But it was still mind-blowing at the time, the fact that, machines would look like it could answer in certain ways. Few 1970s, there was not as much interest in it. There was lack of funding because the technology wasn't there. In 1980s, the technology got developed to an extent that it started moving away from a model that looked like trees and more like neural networks, which is a lot more like how the brain functions. You think of it's matrices, but matrices actually kind of are meant as a way to imitate how your brain functions. There's trillions of neurons in your brain. And machine learning, there's millions of matrices and weights, and data goes through a certain path, just as how when you make a decision, your brain, there's specific electrons going through different neurons. And that's really how there was this shift, as in, okay, this could actually do interesting, but the computing power really wasn't there with these models. As time progressed, computing power really started to get really powerful and stronger, and we started seeing things we've never seen before, an IBM computer started in the 1990s. I started beating a master at chess. And then in the 2000s, we start to see the first consumer applications of it. Apple Siri being the first consumer-oriented product that was AI-based. And then 2020s, I think 2017 was this paper that came out. And there was a group of collaborators from Google DeepMind with University of Toronto, and they published this paper called Attention is All You Need. Everything you see in Gen AI is in some shape or form kind of connected to this paper, which at the time really didn't seem that, revolutionary, but even the people that wrote it didn't think it would be this big. It was actually meant as a way for translation between German and English. But over time, even in the paper, they say that there might be some other use cases to this. And then those other use cases ended up changing everything. And so it just shows how innovation can come from places you don't think so. And then 2020s, it's now a household thing. It's opportunity, threat. You can't wake up every day without hearing something about Gen AI, whether it's something good or bad. And so I think, the other part I want to share is just how fast the adoption of this is. So if you think of streaming, how that impacted, Spotify took 150 days to get to 1 million users. Instagram is more so the poster child of the mobile revolution, and that took 75 days. So half of that, ChatGPT took 5 days to get to 1 million users. So in terms of adoption, or people saying we got to block it or we got to prevent it, it's already here. So good luck trying to block that. And it's just a very powerful statement on where we are with technology. And in terms of performance, the way it can respond to answers, this came from GPT-4 technical report. So on the x-axis is different subjects, from some of them quantitative, so like math and non-math subjects. And on the y-axis is the score it can get. And the latest models, and this was, I think, a year and a half ago, I think they've been improving every day. They're getting like 80, 90% answers on every single topic, which is just mind-blowing, the power that these tools have. And so when you think of what that actually implies for education, most of your students are already using it. The gap here is very few schools or institutions have policy on AI. It's good. It's like having a knife. You can make great food with it, or you can kill someone with it. But there's got to be a form of law and a way to enforce it. Without, knife by itself probably is good. It's good that we have knives, but there needs to be some form of guidance and structure to kind of make sure it's put to good use. And what is the concern? I'm sure most people know this. So EDUCAUSE did a survey. EDUCAUSE is, if you want to register a .edu domain, you have to go through these guys. And they did a survey, so they're pretty connected in the education space. And the number one concern that came out of institution was academic integrity, because it's not clear who's, when people are doing the work. Are people doing the work? Are students doing the work? Is ChatGPT doing it on their behalf? So it is a serious concern. In fact, the number one concern that's talked about in educational circles. And when you think of AI, if we were to split it into two, one is teaching, which instructors can use to build world-class development, curriculum. And almost every student, as long as they have access to the internet, they have some access to some form of free generative AI. And so this is mostly good on teaching. I would say I've heard most, if not all, just good and positive opportunities here. The challenge is the assessment, right? Like if you can put any question into ChatGPT and it pops back an answer, it's, well, what are we assessing here, right? How are we assessing our students to show them like we're teaching the right thing, and how we can figure out who's putting in the work, how we can improve our teaching and training technologies. So here we've seen different tools and technologies starting to, at least initially, we're starting to be used. So some classes or instructors ask students to come back and pen and paper exams, taking us back pre-internet days. There's some tools like eye tracking or browser locking technology tries to record your face and tracks your eye, which was popular during COVID. Students, quite frankly, hated it. Who wants to be this massive privacy concern of who wants to be, under a surveillance when they're writing an assignment. And then there's these tools called AI detectors that you supposedly put in text. It tries to guess whether it's AI or not. And I think I'm going to show you a quick video of just how easy it is to bypass these. So this video is for a while ago, but if you, for example, take a text from ChatGPT, let me just increase the quality a little bit. So here, let's say the student is taking an answer from ChatGPT. Let's say, give me 120 word on statistics. It's generating a response. The student is going to take that and put it into GPT-0, which is one of the AI detectors here. And on the first round, it says, yes, it's actually written by AI. But just to show you how easy it is to fool some of these tools, you take it to, even you ask the AI itself, can you rewrite it for me in a way that avoids AI detectors? And let's see what happens. So it's rewriting the answer. So it's making it look more human-like, a little bit less generic. And if you take this answer and put it into the AI detector, something interesting happens. So I replaced it, and now it thinks it's human. So imagine this is the tool that's supposed to detect AI. And now if this tool doesn't work, there's like 3 or 5 different techniques I can show you to get around these tools. And it's very easy. You keep on changing it until it passes. And the main problem with these is you can't catch cheaters because there's ways to go around it. And the bigger problem is it falsely accuses honest students. And And all these tools claim like 99%, so like 1% chance for every homework that you're falsely accusing an honest student, and you can't justify the score because it comes from this neural net, which is like millions and millions in multiplications. You can say you cheated, but I can't prove it, so you're failed. It's like it's a difficult way to justify the score. And we've seen schools publicly announce why they stopped using these tools or put heavy caution against these. In fact, the top 20 U.S. schools recommend strongly caution against the usage of these. On the flip side, we've seen a very interesting trend. Some schools go all in on AI. They're signing deals directly with OpenAI, Copilot, which is connected to OpenAI, and AI literacy is now becoming a core part of the curriculum. They want students that graduate to make sure when they go to the workforce, it is now an expectation to also know how to work with AI, because imagine colleagues that are much more productive than you, much quicker than you, and you don't know AI. It's not a great place to be in. But so there's this really, like, we've seen almost every school, there's two sides in the AI steering committee. That's, half of them, the English professors like, we need to ban it. It doesn't work. But the business school or the technology is like, we got to go all in. And so, it's 0% AI literacy versus 100%. All they should learn is AI. And we think, in quite frankness, none of them are a pretty great approach, because just because academic, AI literacy comes in doesn't mean academic integrity goes off. Like, they shouldn't be swapped for another. In fact, they should coexist. And so when AI was launched, the main question that was asked is it okay for my students to use AI? We think not a great question. A better question is, what is your AI policy? An AI policy, not at the school level, not at the department level, not at the class level, at the assignment level. Every assignment should be able to have its own custom policy. Some assignments should have very to no AI, like students are using Grammarly or some grammar tool. That's AI, right? And most instructors were okay with that. Some of them should use a lot of AI, and that's fine too. It really should be depends on the different course. And more importantly, how can you go about implementing your AI policy? And so what we bring here is, we think, this AI detection or looking at text or falsely accusing honest students should go away. Instead, schools should focus more on the process of writing. Try to get more insights on the thinking process of the students, not just for catching cheating, but also give them better feedback and coach them to better understand the subject. So we think the future of education is going to put a lot more emphasis on the writing process, on the thinking process, and not just what they're submitting. Because a 500-word essay, 1,000-word essay could be someone spending 2 seconds chat GPT or someone spending 3 days. And if they're just giving you a PDF with 500 words, it's almost impossible to tell. So I'm going to give you a quick demo of how our product approaches it. And here's a quick demo of our product. The way our emphasis is, again, focusing more on what is the thinking process and looking at how the writing was written, like how it was written, not just what was written. So the way we do that is we have a Google Docs type editor that fits within the school's learning management system. So here, Canvas is really popular. Everything when they're writing, it's just like Google Docs. Everything is saved on the cloud. Every single type or keystroke creates a new draft that gets saved on the cloud. And if the student, so we have something called a policy-based AI Copilot. So the students can use AI, but the instructors are the one customizing these prompts for these assignments. For example, they could say, fix grammar. And the students can play around with different AI engines from like GPT-4 to Claude, and they can ask different AI engines. And these are prompts that the teacher has allowed the students to use. And they can use that to refine the text. It also has a copy-paste tracker. So if they go into another tab, we look up to the past 10 drafts. If they're just pasting text, we ask for references. Like, hey, this doesn't look like it belonged in your previous draft. Can you please provide some references? So we're not waiting till the end to accuse them. We're just trying to hold them accountable from the start. You can do some rich formatting, and when you're ready to go, you just submit the assignment and it goes to the school learning management system. And with that, we can actually show you the full revision history of the document, every single draft, the AI they used, if it's a multiplayer assignment, who wrote what part, analytics, what parts were copy pasted, and all these come because we captured the draft data. So if we switch to instructor mode, what you can see right away is analytics, like how much overall time was spent on work on the document itself, how much of it was pasted. how many revisions did they do or the student did as they were going through the writing. You can see the AI prompts that the student used, so making transparent, not trying to block it, but just making transparent use of AI, where they incorporated the AI suggestion. And then finally, you can see draft by draft, if you go to revision history, every single keystroke that the student typed in as they were doing a timestamp to show you the story behind the document. And then you can do some really fancy commenting, commenting and create comment threads directly within the learning tool. So our whole motto or emphasis, let's focus on the process, because process is a lot harder to cheat than just the text. And we have like multi-part assignment, we have AI assisted feedback, we have peer feedback, and every assignment can be customized to the policy that the instructor wants it to. So hopefully that clarifies kind of our thinking, our backgrounds, and how we're approaching the situation. And if you want to learn more or want to get in touch, this is my email and this is my LinkedIn. Connect with me, shoot me an email. Happy to chat further and get your feedback. Or if you have any further questions for me, I'd love to answer it and just see how we can help or how things are going. So that's the end of it. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for having me. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zadeh. Now I have another Mo that I will always remember apart from Mo Salah. If you're a Liverpool fan. Okay,